Hello once again. It is Saturday, so it's the day before Resurrection Sunday. Today's video is going to be out of order from the typical narrative of what happens, but I think it's important to talk about, so we're talking about it anyway. Get over it. So, today we'll be talking about Peter, specifically his denial of Jesus. So first off, Jesus foretells this happening before it happens, during the Passover, during the Last Supper. So, Mark 14:29 through 30 says, Peter said to him, "Even though all become deserters, I will not." Jesus said to him, "Truly, I tell you, this day, this very night, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. So Jesus knows everything, obviously, but Peter didn't believe him. He was overconfident in his ability to be the best disciple, and he thought he would remain vigilant in a time like this. What a hit to the old self-esteem, you know? Peter, you were there through everything, but when I need you most, you're going to abandon me. Ouch. So Peter thought he would remain strong when all of this happened, but in a moment of fear, he renounced everything he'd worked so hard to build. For himself, for Jesus, and for the world. So Peter's denial of Jesus, you can find that in Mark 14:60 through 72. It's a few verses. So we're just going to go over it and kind of talk about it. So he does it 3 times, like Jesus says. Someone comes up to Peter and says, "Hey, weren't you with that Jesus guy? I saw you 2 together." And Peter was like, "Nah, that's not me. You have me mistaken for someone else." That happens 2 more times. The strange part is at this point, I'm not quite sure if he said yes, it would cause him to die. I mean, the people asking him were just regular people, first of all. I mean, there was a priest's servant girl, but she was just a servant girl. How much push could she have? At this point, he might have been shunned. Probably, but I don't know if he would have been crucified quite yet because it wasn't such a big phenomenon like it would in the early church days. So like I said, Peter denied him 3 times. 3's a big number. What else happens in 3s? Jesus' resurrection happens in 3 days. In Jewish and Christian culture, we have perfect numbers. One of them is 3. It's a perfect number, specifically because Jesus was crucified, but also a few other reasons, especially in Jewish culture, where 3 is a perfect number. But Peter did something horrible 3 times. So what does that mean? Doing something imperfect or sinful in a perfect number or perfect degree is considered a perfect sin. To show you that I'm not making this up, let me show you the mark of the beast. In Revelation, it talks about the mark of the beast, and it's a specific number. It's 6 3 times. 666. Now, 7 is another perfect number. So 6 will be considered an imperfect number or a broken number. 6 3 times is an imperfect number masquerading as a perfect one because there's 3 of them. That is considered the perfect evil. That's why the mark of the beast is 666, is something imperfect or sinful masquerading as Christ. Peter's denial wasn't just a denial of Jesus, but it was a full-on betrayal of what Jesus had been trying to fix and do on earth since he came here. Now what's interesting is this is exactly what happened in the early church days when the early Christians were confronted by the Roman Empire before Constantine. They were told, you have to renounce your faith, or we're going to kill you, and a lot of people renounced their faith. So like I said, Peter knew what he did, and it set forth this kind of formula that people would follow for years to come. And when Peter did this, he broke down and he wept. He knew that Jesus was right. He knew that he wasn't some great disciple. He was just as scared and vulnerable as all the other ones. So defeated, Peter went back to the only thing he knew what to do. After Jesus' death, he just went straight back to fishing. He thought it was over. He thought it was done. He thought his great sin had been committed and there was no going back. We can relate to that, can't we? Think back in your life, and I'm sure there's at least one moment where you did something horrible and you thought there's no going back from this. That you thought there's no way I can be forgiven or there's no way this could be fixed. So you just kind of defeated, go back to the way your life was before. Another reason we need Christ. Because before Christ, that's all we could do. When we committed sin, we would just go back to the way life was and we'd keep doing it. And we'd be defeated in that, in our brokenness, because there's nothing that we could have done. That's why we need Jesus. Because sometimes we are pulled to go back to the way things were. But Jesus made that change. We don't have to anymore. And we'll see what happens with Peter in the next video, but let me leave you with this. If you're living in a way that you want to change, you can change that. Christ is here for that reason. There's things in my life that I've changed, and I know I couldn't have done it without Christ. There are things in my friends' lives that have changed, and I know they couldn't have done that without Christ either. The world could not be where it is without Jesus, because he set forth that change where we don't have to keep living and going back to the way things were. We can go to something better, and we'll see that something better in the next video. All right, guys, that's all the time I have for now. Hope you liked it. If you have something to say, leave a comment. Let's start a conversation, and I will see you all in the next video.